There are certain, under normal circumstances, one shouldn't even socialise with a woman who's not your wife and not your relative.
High five to that again, because we're on the same page.
But
that's what we believe. We believe that God cannot be tired. He's the all-knowing, the most powerful. So again, the concept of Jesus, God dying on the cross. Me and you reject that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to ask you another question. Like, for example, I'm intrigued. I'm asking this because I'm intrigued. How does it work for you guys? Like, for example, me personally, I got married about 2 years ago. Yeah. How does the marriage process work for us? Like, for us, it's very strict. Yeah. So, for example, we can't go on dates. Yeah. So it doesn't work. Like me, if I want to get to know somebody, I have to go through the father. How does it work? Because I watched a documentary on this. But how does
it is complicated.
Yes.
Obviously, there are certain, under normal circumstances, one shouldn't even socialise with a woman who's not your wife and not your relative.
High five to that again, because we're on the same page.
But obviously, you have to get married.
Yeah.
And
let's get a high five for the marriage.
You're not expected to marry a stranger.
Exactly.
And therefore, in the dating process, there are certain things which would normally be forbidden which become permitted under the circumstances, but certain things which remain forbidden. There's certain boundaries. So normally, you would not be allowed to start get pleasure from looking at a woman, for example.
Okay.
But if you're looking to get married, you go on a date, you are supposed to look at her because you've got to make sure you're comfortable with her.
That's just to
she has to remain properly dressed. You can't see when she's not covered. You can't touch her.
Okay.
So there are certain things which become permitted when you're genuinely looking to get married, but there's also certain boundaries.
That's quite interesting.
So, for example, when it comes to touching, it's very interesting. At the beginning of the wedding ceremony, the groom places the veil on the bride.
So the groom veil on the bride,
because he has to make sure that she's the right one before she's got the veil on her face. He makes sure that she's the right one.
Okay.
But at that point, he has to be very careful as he places the veil that he doesn't touch her, because at that point they're not married yet.
So what happens if he accidentally touches her?
Okay, if it's an accident, that's another. He should try not to touch her. As they're on their way out of the ceremony, they come out holding hands.
Oh, okay.
So even when they're engaged, even when they're actually about to begin the wedding ceremony, they still don't touch.
Okay.
So in the dating process, there are certain leniencies, but there's boundaries as well.
Okay. So that was very okay. So it's the same with us. So when you're getting to know the other person for marriage, like you said before, you're not allowed to touch her. You know, you're allowed to see the face, etc. So that's quite profound. That's what I was asking, because there's a lot of things that are in common as well. And also another thing is, so when you do the contract, how does the marriage contract work? Do you read something of the Torah? How does it work? How does a marriage contract? Is it just you read something and then you say in the name of God? How does it work?
There is a marriage contract. It's actually written. It's written and signed by the groom before the ceremony.
Okay.
It's the witnesses who are going to witness the ceremony obviously have to make sure they witness beforehand that the groom has been through and understands everything. And then during the ceremony, the groom then hands it over to the bride.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
And that states obviously various terms and conditions of marriage. Rather, the contract doesn't affect the marriage. The marriage is affected with when the groom gives an item of value. It's usually a ring, but it can be anything of value.
We call that mahar.
Yeah. We call it kedushin.
Kedushin, yeah.
So he says he says to her in Hebrew, you will be married to me with this ring in accordance with the law of Moses in Israel. And she takes it from him. She acquires the ring, and the witnesses have to watch that process.
How many witnesses?
2.
That's quite interesting.
Say by you?
The way you say it, I feel like you're talking about Islam. Yeah, it's 2 witnesses.
Anyway, so that's how the marriage is affected. The marriage contract doesn't create the marriage, but it creates terms and conditions. It's the man's commitment to the woman.
Okay.
Which is written in the contract and
Can the female put any conditions in there? Or?
Yeah, there are certain things which are standard, and there are other things which can be agreed upon, which it goes into the contract. Yeah, it's not hard and fast. It is.
Okay, that's interesting. That's actually very common with Islam. It's very common. One other thing I was going to say is, if I'm not mistaken, once a year you guys prostrate.
Yeah, once a year. On the festival of New Year.
Okay. When is the New Year for you?
That's it's been about a month ago.
Oh, okay.
And then that's 2 days running. We prostrate once.
Once.
That's the first 2 days.
So is it how we prostrate?
I haven't seen you prostrate.
Like
But
we prostrate, show you.
yeah, but we can't put our face direct on the ground, so we put a cloth down in front of it.
Okay, so you cannot touch the ground.
Our face shouldn't touch the ground. So you put a cloth down and prostrate with your face on the cloth. We do it once on the first 2 days, and then on the 10th day of the year is Yom Kippur, when you prostrate 4 times.
Oh, so then you prostrate 4 times.
On Yom
Okay, do you
Kippur.
know how we prostrate? Do you want me to show you?
Do you want?
Is this how we prostrate? Yeah? So we're like this.
That looks pretty much like that.
Our head, our nose, our hands, our knees, and our feet have to touch the floor. Yeah.
Like that, but with us, we don't actually put our face on the floor directly. We put a cloth down and we put our
So
face on
you
the
put a
floor.
cloth down.
Yeah.
Okay, that's similar. We have to pray 5 times a day, by the way.
We pray 3 times, but on the festivals
We pray 3 times a day.
every day. But then on the festivals we have 4 services, and on Yom Kippur we have 5. Except that on Yom Kippur they all run into each other, so we're actually praying the whole day.
Okay, so when you pray,
We face Jerusalem when we pray.
so you face Jerusalem when you pray.
Yeah.
Okay, we face Mecca, but before the Prophet ﷺ would face Jerusalem, but then it got changed.
In this part of the world,
Yeah.
if you're facing one city, you're facing the other. From London,
Oh.
in London,
Yeah.
Muslims and Jews are facing pretty much the same direction.
Oh, is it? There you got another common.
Yeah, but that's only from here, because obviously it's going to be somewhere in the world.
Yeah. So you know you said. Yeah. Of course, it's intentional. So when you when you pray 3 times a day, do you have to do some kind of ablution?
Well,
Is there any ritual that you have to do?
the standard thing is washing of the hands.
The hands, yes.
That's standard. We rinse our hands before we pray. There are some people who immerse their entire body each morning in a special type of pool. That's not obligatory. Some people have that custom. Probably the majority don't.
Okay.
And then more people. The immersion pool is called a mikveh. That's built to very specific requirements. Some people go every morning. Some people might go every Friday in preparation for the coming Sabbath.
Okay.
It's
So you know when you pray, you don't do this 3 times a day, do you?
no, we don't bow down.
So what do you do? Like what kind of prayer is it? Like,
Well, some of our prayers are recited standing, some are recited
is it
sitting.
the one where it's a bit like this? Or is that different?
Yeah, well, some people sway a bit, some people like to stand still.
Okay,
so
can you do it like this? Standing, like if you stood facing
the central prayer of every service, some people is known as the Midas, also known as Shemona Esrei. That has to be said standing with your feet together.
your feet together.
Yeah, like.
Okay, so that's 3
then-
times a day.
Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting. Do you guys drink alcohol?
yeah. But in moderation, yeah. You shouldn't get to the point where you're not in control of yourself. You have to drink moderately enough that you can make sure you don't do anything you shouldn't do. But
Okay.
if you keep within that limit, you're allowed to drink alcohol. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if there's any questions I want to ask. Is there anything you want to ask me? Yeah, no, it's interesting. Just last question. The long black thing that you guys wear, or the hats that
Black furry hats.
Yeah, what is that? Do you have to? Is that?
No, that's done in certain communities. It's not universal. That's the Hasidic communities.
Hasidic, yeah.
They originated from Eastern Europe. It's not standard.
Okay, what is the ultra-Orthodox? What are they called?
The generic term for the ultra-Orthodox is Haredi. But that
Haredi. Yeah.
Haredi doesn't mean it's not a specific movement. It's just the very, very religious are known as the Haredi. And that's obviously there's different groups amongst the Haredi that come from different parts of the world, have different customs. You know.
You're not. Oh yeah, we covered that. You're not allowed to shake the hand of the opposite gender.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I heard. Is it true that female and males have to walk on the opposite side, or is that correct? I heard this. I don't know. I'm just asking.
No. I mean, you were talking about opposite side of the street, or?
Yeah.
It's not generally done.
Yeah.
I know in certain isolated places they might take on, some communities take on extra stringencies. I think in Gateshead, that's a common practice.
Okay.
But that's Gateshead. It's not what Jews do all over the world.
Okay.
Certain communities have extra.
Weddings is segregated, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, you're talking about diverse groups of people.
Yeah.
So obviously, some communities are more religious than others. Some are stricter than others. Some are. And different customs have evolved.
Okay.
So what you'll see in one community isn't necessarily standard of all Jews.
One last question. I promise it's
You
the
said
last.
that quite a few
last one. I
times.
promise it's the last one. The Jewish ladies. Why do they have to wear a wig? Or like
The married ladies should keep their head covered.
Okay,
Only
so-
the married ladies, though.
Sorry. When? You give it. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Do you know the thing that?
Yeah, I already discussed this.
It's like a little box.
Yeah, so
Oh, the tefillin.
Yeah, what about that? Please explain about that.
one second. Can I just? Sorry, I don't know what was I saying. Yeah, you said that they have to cover their hair.
Yeah.
But why don't they cover it, like, for example, like a cloth? Why do they wear it like a wig?
Again, that's something that does vary. You'll find in many communities the women are covering their head with a cloth. They call it a tichel. That's like a cloth they cover their head with. Others, there are some quite commonplace nowadays to wear the wigs. It is, you should know, it is a matter of controversy, because some say it's not really in the spirit of the law. It's become an accepted practice.
At the end of the day, it's covering your hair.
The head is covered. I mean, the hair is covered.
I heard it means
That's quite
the
interesting.
bigger he is,
But you don't know about the.
the more religious you claim.
And that's for the married woman.
The married
So the single woman don't have to. Okay. I've got your name. Abraham.
That's neat.
It was a pleasure, man.
So
Thank you,
before
man.
you go, please
If you have
explain
any-
about the thing, the box and the thing that's
This is put on in the morning.